Father, we thank you for the gift, for your protection throughout our lives, for bringing us together at this hour of the day. Oh Lord Father, we pray to you at this time that we are coming to start this lesson. Is with puzzle. Father, we call upon the Holy Spirit. Send forth the Holy Spirit upon us to guide and protect us, to open our minds, to be able to understand what is going to be taught, and to guide them, to guide our activities in Jesus' name.
Unfortunately, we have lost you.
Sir. Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Sorry. Gloria. Yes, sorry, let me first end.
Yes, to
You are most welcome. And I want to kindly request you to start us with the session.
Thank you very much, Teacher Stephen. Good evening, members. My name is Teacher Ita Musimenta. I am a teacher of English language and literature, and I would like to take you through our session for today. We are going to focus on paper one English language. Maybe what I would like us to look at, paper one English is one of the papers that make a complete set of O-level English language examination. It is marked out. It marked up 40. It consists of 2 sections. Let's have everyone mute their microphones.
Zoom. You're downloading.
We have everyone mute their microphones first because, okay. So, like I said, I'm going to take you through paper one, which is functional writing, which is English paper one. I'm going to take you through paper one, English language. And maybe if we would like to go through very fast what this paper is all about, we have It is marked out of 40, as you all know. It consists of 2 sections. We have functional writing, we have creative writing. So functional writing is section A and creative writing is section B. Each of these sections is marked out of 20%. So I'm going to mainly focus on the first section, creative functional writing. I will say a little more on creative writing in case you have any questions, but I'm going to mainly focus on functional writing. So we have functional writing, and maybe as our introduction, this section tests functional writing aspects, which include the following. I would like to have someone tell us anything else they would like to share maybe about this particular paper before we dwell into functional writing. Okay, maybe if there is nothing much to say, we are going to talk about the marking areas. We are going to talk about the areas of focus. We are going to talk about the different aspects of functional writing. So we have functional writing. Usually they will test all these aspects of functional writing. There are very many. We have letter writing, we have speeches, we have curriculum vitae, we have reports, we have minutes, we have memorandums, we have advertisements, we have announcements, we have articles, autobiographies, and biographies. We have articles, we have we already talked about advertisements. We have different types of letters. We can talk about writing wills. We can talk about writing circulars. We can talk about writing diaries. Very many aspects of functional writing. However, before we dwell into looking at the different aspects of functional writing, I can maybe share with you a sample of an exam paper, an exam paper of paper 1. So let me get that. Sure. So we have a sample paper here. Our sample paper is a sample of a mock exam that we did. As you can see, we have 2 sections. We have section A and we have section B. Now, one of the questions that, okay, maybe some of the, one of the sections, a normal paper looks like this. Section A is right there. There is only one question that is asked. Now, out of the so many functional writing aspects that we may have studied in class, there is only one aspect that is said. So a student is expected to be ready to attempt questions in all under all different aspects. So as a student, you should be ready to answer all the questions on minutes, on letters, on speeches, on reports, on curriculum vitae, on writing a prayer, writing wills, writing a CV, a commentation, police statements, event reports, all kinds of functional writing aspects. A student must be ready to answer questions in any area of functional writing. Why? Because the examiner is going to only choose one of the so many. And then section B looks like this. You'll be given an option of 6 questions and you only choose one. So now we can go into the tips. Can go into the tips on how to pass this paper before we can look at some of the samples or ask some questions. First of all, I want to believe everyone can see my screen. So we have this, can look at there. One, because this is functional writing, you know, we have the two sections, creative writing and functional writing. With creative writing, most of the time we are told to use the vocabulary, to use all the bombastic words, to look out for idioms, look out for proverbial sayings, look out for all kinds of words or phrases that make our language rich, because it is creative writing. Creative writing is supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to appeal to the reader. Whereas with functional writing, the purpose of functional writing is to communicate. And since the purpose of functional writing is to communicate, one is not expected to use very difficult words. One is not expected to use bombastic words. One is not expected to use so much of the idioms, those kinds of words that will require the reader to look for a dictionary. Do not use those, because at the end of the day, you are not communicating. Every time communication is broken, there's nothing, there will not be any delivery of information. So the first point under the tips to pass functional writing, or to even communicate under functional writing, one is expected to use simple language. Use simple language because you are communicating. Use simple and straightforward language. That is the only way you're going to be able to communicate without using difficult words. So keyword, use simple language. Then secondly, the brevity of your work. You are not expected to write so little, and yet at the same time, you are not expected to write so much. Why? Because when you write so much, can everyone mute their microphone, please? Those that are just reading, please mute your microphones. Okay, so when you write so little, some of the information may be missed, and also some of your language might not be well assessed because you've written very little. Then when you write so much, you are going to dwell on the irrelevancies, like we all know. So you are expected to write at least 1 3/4 pages. Do not write more than, if the worst comes to the worst, at least 2 pages, but not 1 page. Not 1 1/4 pages. Let at least your work go up to halfway of the next page, or even 3/4 way of the next page. So brevity is very important because it is penalized. Then avoid disjointed work. We are going to look at this when we are looking at the samples. For now, the most important thing is for us to, when I said disjointed work, or when you see your work has something like disjointed script or DS, it means your work is disjointed. And every time your work is disjointed, you lose marks. But what do we mean by disjointed work? Skipping of lines. Avoid skipping of lines. Now, most of our learners find challenges because the disjointed work is encouraged in other subjects for paragraphing purposes and for presentation of neat work. For example, subjects like history, CRE, and all that will ask learners to present their work by skipping lines as they are paragraphing. But in English language and literature in English, it is penalized. Therefore, we do not expect students to use to skip lines. So students should be encouraged to use the indented paragraphs. Indented paragraphs are where one leaves some space of about 2 inches or 1 inch at the margin before they can start writing. We shall look at that in our samples. That is the same thing as paragraph your work very well using indented paragraphs. Then also write complete sentences. Most of the time students lose communication when they write very long sentences. Along the way, they fail to connect to the main idea of what they're trying to communicate. So students are encouraged to write short and complete sentences. As long as you are communicating, trying to make sure that your sentences are short, not so complicated. Avoid use of compound sentences. It is quite challenging if you use compound sentences. Then under functional writing, one is expected to follow the format. Follow the format as a particular functional writing aspect demands. Different functional writing aspects have different formats, and we are going to look at that. Then remember the content. A learner is expected to read the question and understand it. For example, when you look at our sample question that we looked at, sorry, the question paper, I will share it once again. The question paper, the sample question paper that we had. We had a sample question paper. Let me look for it. So as I'm saying, for you to be able to get all your marks on content, read the question and understand it. So let us encourage learners to know that all marks are very important. So the content is very important, the content of your work. For example, we have a question here. After a long period of time since July 2022, your school held this year's Parents Teachers Association annual general meeting. So keyword is it is a Parents Teachers annual general meeting. Then the question continues. It took place in the school main hall as culture of ensuring a steady progress of the school. This meeting was held by teachers, parents, students, officials from the Ministry of Education and Sports, and all students of your school. As the secretary of this meeting, prepare the minutes of this year's meeting. One, a student must know the different aspects of an annual general meeting or a parents teachers association meeting. What are some of the things that the parents talk about in meetings with the teachers of their children? So definitely they are going to talk about the daily running of the school, the academics. They are going to talk about the maybe meals. They are going to talk about discipline. They are going to talk about some of the issues that their children may have presented to them. That means a student must be well conversant with the different aspects of life. That means students should read newspapers, students should watch news, because this is the only way they're going to be informed and therefore be able to pick out different aspects of particular functional writing aspects. So the content is very important. Then, as we continue, language is very important. A learner must understand the different rules of language, and that is something we shall talk about as we go on. So now, as we get back to our presentation, I'm going to look at some of the samples as a way of showing you the ways in which marks are awarded. Then we can maybe ask questions. I will first share one functional writing aspect, and then we can look at it. I will start with a letter, which is something that we all are aware about. And then we shall look at the different formats of the different functional writing aspects, maybe very fast, and then we can ask questions in case we have any questions. But the first thing that I want us to look at, letters. Letters will help us be able to see where the marks are awarded, the different ways in which marks are awarded. Okay. I would like to know if every one of us is able to see the picture of the letter. May you please increase the font size? It's not that clear. Okay. I believe now every one of us can see the picture of the letter. So we have a letter. This is a friendly letter. This is a friendly letter, and as you can see, we all know that when we are awarding marks, we award marks on format, language, and content. Format, language, and content. Now, when we are awarding marks on format, we need to look at the key aspects that must appear in a letter. First of all, we have an address. We have a date. We have salutations, and then we sign off. Now, those are the key areas of a letter. Now, do not miss out any mark on format, or do not allow students to miss out on any mark on format. Why? Because these are usually 8 marks. 8 marks, depending on the aspect, because sometimes they might award 8 marks, then 6 marks for content, 6 marks for language. However, sometimes you may find that maybe the aspect is very small and they can only award about 6 marks for format, and then the other marks go for language and content. But let us look at this letter. We have this address. As you can see, we have the date. Our date is indated. What do we mean by indated? It is slanting. We do not write the words in the same line. They are written in a slanting format. So we leave a bit of space. Okay. Now I think I can now be able to highlight. I think now I can be able to highlight, and I need you to so when you look at our address, it is slanting. You can see it's going on the right. It's moving towards the right. So we leave some space before we write the next thing. So you can see Namasagali College School. Then when we are starting the line of the PO box, we leave a bit of space, and then Butambala, we leave a bit of space. Then we do not skip any line between the address and the date. We do not skip any line between the date and the salutation. So you can see that a learner will earn a mark for the date. The learner will earn a mark for the date, for the address, and then a mark for salutations. However, if a learner misses out the key areas, you know, the marking process is very funny. A learner will only miss out something as small as a comma, and they will lose the mark, the whole mark for the address. So let us emphasize, or let us always make sure that we have the commas in the punctuations in the address, the comma, and full stop at the end. Then our date must have all words must lie in the same line with the normal way we write, because sometimes we have a habit of writing, for example, 4th, you write 4th like this, and then you find that you want to write the TH up here like this. Now, this is not going to be acceptable, because at the end of the day, the learner is going to lose a mark. This might seem like very small, simple rules that we can do without, but at the end of the day, the learner is losing marks. So let us make sure that the date, everything lies in the same line, put a comma and a full stop at the end. Those are simple rules that we all know. However, learners always miss them out. So you're going to earn a mark on the date, you're going to earn a mark on the address, you're going to earn a mark on the salutation. Then we have the sign off. You're going to earn a mark for the closing words and then on the name. Because this is an informal letter, we do not sign. And also when we are closing, you are free to use any words. You can use just yours, Jane. You can say love, Jane. You can say sincerely, Jane. You can use anything because it doesn't really have to be informal. You're writing an informal letter. This is a letter being written to a friend. Now, since it is an informal letter, some things must be there. We already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marks. One would be wondering, where are the other 3 marks going to come from? 1, the learner must greet. The learner must greet. The learner must greet because this is a friendly letter, so it is okay to greet. Then the learner must sign off. Those are already 7 marks. Then the learner must always introduce the reason as to why they are writing the letter. So at the end of the day, you find that the learner will have all the 8 marks. This is what I mean by format. Is the learner able to know the things that must not miss in a letter? Is the learner able to know the things that must not miss in a speech? Is the learner able to know the things that must not miss in a report? That is what I mean by format. So in a letter, we have a date, we have an address, we have salutations, we have greetings, we have introduction of the topic, we have a conclusion, we have a signing off, and we have our name written in small letters. You are free to use only one name, the first name. That is what I mean by format. So you find that this learner will get all the 8 marks on format. So you find that we can give our learner 8 marks for format. Now, if our learner has gotten all the 8 marks on format, then now we look out for the content. The content can only be decided by what we are looking out for. What are we looking out for? If we are looking out for, let's say this letter is meant to, the student is expected to write a letter to a friend. Here's the question. Our question is saying, write a letter expressing your appreciation to a friend who advised you on the kind of school you would join after sitting of national exams. Now, this is where the content comes from. We are going to look out for the content. 1, write a letter expressing your appreciation. The first thing that we are looking out for is this a friend. The next thing we are looking out for is, are you appreciating? And then, are you going to also go ahead and talk to us about the kind of advice that this person gave you? That is where the marks on content are going to come from. So when you read through this letter, first of all, how are you nowadays? I hope all is well. Everything is moving on well this side. A long time has passed by since we last heard from each other. I hope you are fantastic in your school. Clearly, these are friends because they know about each other. They have not talked to each other in a long time. So this is an indicator that they are friends. Now you already have a tick on that particular part of content. Then go ahead and dwell into the content and read. I have jotted this letter to extend my appreciation to you for the piece of advice you gave me after sitting my primary leaving examination. You told me to join Namasagali College and the leading school in academics. I am surely not regretting. This school has generally a higher standard of performance. Excellence is the prevailing motto of this giant learning environment. The menu is fixed to giving each student a balanced diet with nice meals, such as chicken, pizza, soft drinks, among others. We also participate in co-curricular activities such as volleyball, football, and rugby that promote our fitness. This school is endowed with splendid teachers. They are well-trained and versed with the particular subjects that they specialized in. It really makes academic excellence paramount and achievable. The classrooms are spacious with projectors and whiteboards, which make learning enjoyable. Hostels are well organized with lockers for safety of our clothes and edibles. Generally, students are disciplined and crimes are hardly committed. I greatly thank you for having directed me to this precious school. I have to hear from you. I hope to hear from you soon, and probably let me know more about your current school. Send my regards to your friends. So now this is the content of the letter, what we call the body. The body is where the marks for content are got from. So our learner, as a student, you should be able to read the question and know what exactly the question is asking for. That's where your 6 marks for content are going to come from. They're going to come from the fact that you are able to understand what the examiner wants. The examiner is asking you to write a letter of appreciation to your friend. So you have appreciated them for advising you to go to that school. Now that school, you must be able to tell them what exactly you appreciate about, or why exactly you do not regret joining that school. And then finally, because you are friends, we expect a continuous exchange. And as a sign off, you're going to tell this person what you expect from them and whatever. So at the end of the day, that is the mark on content. Then language, the marks for language. The marks for language come from generally our language aspects, our use of language. Our use of language is basically, we focus on, let's say, we focus on punctuation, we focus on spellings, we focus on language, we focus on spellings, we focus on the tense. Now, usually the tense is very important because the question, for example, the question in question is, write a letter expressing your appreciation to a friend. So that means it is more like present, and then you're narrating, and then depending, different aspects require different tenses. This particular one is a letter. You can use the present tense, you can use the past tense if you're narrating something, you can use the future tense. Here you are free to juggle the tenses. But then there are some aspects that require you to use a particular tense. Then punctuation. This person has their paragraphs well aligned. Remember, I said that learners are expected to use indented paragraphs. So you can see our indented paragraphs here. We have that, we have this, we have this, and we have this. So this is about 5 paragraphs. These are 6 paragraphs. So this person has left space at the margin, some space before starting. That is what we call an indented paragraph. So learners must use indented paragraphs. Secondly, avoid skipping lines. As you can see, we have not skipped any lines in our work. That is what I mean by make sure your work is, you do not have a disjointed script, because then you lose marks. Make sure your work is non-spaced, no skipping lines, and no, do not lose any marks on such small mistakes. So that is what we mean when we talk about function writing. Marks are awarded on format, marks are awarded on content, marks are awarded on language. So your language, spellings, grammar and sentence construction, you must make sure your sentences are grammatically correct. Now, this is when your grammar, your paper 2 English comes in, the rules of grammar. Do you know how to use to? Do you know how to use so that? Do you know how to use in case? Do you know how to use the passive voice? Do you know how to use direct and indirect speech? It is very important, because now the rules of grammar are going to get you here. If you construct sentences and they do not make grammatical sense, then you lose some marks. If you construct sentences and instead of a question mark, you have a full stop. Instead of a comma, you have a full stop. Instead of an apostrophe, you don't put anything. You have like a plural word. Then at the end of the day, you lose marks on punctuation. You lose marks on spellings. Always make sure you use simple language. And this is the beauty about function writing. It is very easy to score all that 20 marks because you are using simple language. So use words that you can spell and words for which you know the meaning, so that your work is tidy and does not have so many crossings from the examiner. So I would like to know if we have any questions on letter writing before I can share the formats of the other letters, because those ones we are going to rush through them, since we know that we are looking for format, content, and language. For the other aspects, we are going to focus more on the formats. Any questions? So since we do not have questions, you can send a message in case you have a question. Okay, there are 2 hands. We have Saint Mary Assumpta. Let's start with Saint Mary Assumpta. Please unmute and ask your question.
When you're writing a friendly letter, are you allowed to write faithfully?
No. Faithfully is a formal word. We prefer that you use friendly language. Friendly language can be just yours. Friendly language can be your loving daughter, your loving friend. That is friendly language. So when you use yours faithfully, it is too formal, and we prefer to use it in formal letters. So do not use faithfully. Yes, Zeus? Yes, Zeus? You have a question, please put up your hand. You put up your hand, please unmute and ask the question. We have someone saying they cannot hear me. Probably there's a problem in the way you started your meeting.
You talk. Yes, madam, thank you so much. I would like to know, in case of you're writing a letter, will you put the date you're sitting for the paper, or you can put any other date for the format?
You can put any other date. It is okay to put any other date, as long as it is not a future date. Please use a date in the past, depending on the content of the letter. But the most important thing that we are looking out for is, do you know how to write the date? But it is okay to use the date of the exam, the day you start the exam. It is okay for you to use a different date, but the most important thing is ensuring that your date is written correctly, as I showed you before. Do we have any other questions in the chat? Yeah. Yes, Zeus?
Okay, thank you, madam. I would like to know that whenever you're writing your letter there, what if I use only 2 paragraphs with the correct words or sentences? Will I be given all my 20 marks or not? Or that one will appear still small?
So when you say that what if you use only 2 paragraphs? One, I would like to hear from someone. Can someone tell us, when do we paragraph? When do we start a fresh paragraph? Do you know when we start a fresh paragraph, Zeus?
Yes. Yes, maybe, okay. Yes.
When do we start a fresh paragraph?
Yeah.
When would you start?
We start a paragraph when we are, for the first reason.
From the greeting.
Yeah, from the greeting, then you start your paragraph, then you come with the body, also the paragraph.
Okay, so we start a fresh paragraph every time we are starting a different aspect of what we are talking about. First of all, you're going to have a paragraph for greeting and getting to tell them how you have been generally in your life. So you can talk to them about your family, about how school is going, about generally how you are or how your health is. Then you're going to start another paragraph introducing the reason why you are writing your letter. So when you look at our letter here, this person wrote a letter, started a fresh paragraph for greeting, started a fresh paragraph giving the reasons why they are writing. So they were appreciating and they did the appreciation. Then they started a fresh paragraph to talk about the school, generally, some of the good things about the school. And then co-curricular activities had their own paragraph, teachers had a different paragraph, and general academics. Then the accommodation had a different paragraph, and then finally the conclusion. What do I mean? Do not write only 2 paragraphs, because that means you have put different aspects in the same paragraph. And yet paragraphing is one of our punctuation methods. How? We want to see that you know when to open a fresh paragraph. So when you use 2 paragraphs, it means you have put everything in just 2 paragraphs. You have greeted, and then the whole body is in just 1 paragraph. Then you're going to lose a bit of marks on punctuation. So make sure you paragraph the different things you're talking about. If, for example, you are writing a letter to your friend telling them about your new school, or if you're writing a letter to your friend telling them about maybe how you spent your holiday, one, you're going to start by greeting, that is a paragraph. Then you're going to tell them about the fun things that happened in your holiday, that is another paragraph. Then you're going to tell them some of the things you did not like about the holiday. Then you're going to tell them some of your expectations or how you want to make your holidays better. Then lastly, you are going to conclude. Those are about 4 to 5 different paragraphs. Paragraphing is one of the key aspects of punctuation. So please make sure you do not use just 2 paragraphs. Use at least 4 or 5 paragraphs, because the more the content, the more the paragraphs. If you have only 2 paragraphs, it means you have not understood the letter or the question, and therefore you do not know where to put the different, what to talk about. Then some of you are asking if you are supposed to write the name of your school. I advise that you leave the name of your school out of your examination papers. Do not mention your name of your school anywhere, because you do not know if anyone has bias about your school or something. So forge. The name of the school does not necessarily have to be realistic. You can give your school Hope High School. You can say maybe Faith High School. It is okay. The most important thing is, do you have the format written very well? That's the most important thing. The name of the school is not the important thing. Do not include the name of your school anywhere in your exam. Do we have any other questions? Then someone is asking if it is possible to write only one name or both names. In an informal letter, or what we call a friendly letter, we expect you to write only one name, the first name. You can write both names, but you start with the first name. So look at this letter. In this letter, which is an informal letter, we have written only one name, Jane. But it is okay for you to say Jane, a team. It is written in small letters, Jane, a team, or just Jane. Let me share a formal letter. When we are writing a formal letter, we write our name in capital letters, and we do not start with the first name. We start with our surname. So when you look at this letter, this is a formal letter. This formal letter, as you can see, it also has a different format. Our address, the addresser's address, is written with a slanting format, as we said in our previous letter. So our address is there, our date is there, the address's address is there. Now the difference between these addresses is this one is slanting, whereas this one is written in a straight line. Then we have the salutation, dear sir. Now you are encouraged to use dear sir or dear madam. Then also one thing you need to know is that we only use madam when you are sure that the person you are writing the letter to is a woman. But if you have not been if it has not been specified, it is important that you use sir. It is considered that offices are masculine. So we say dear sir. Except if you have been told that the person you're writing to is feminine, then you can say dear madam. Do not use dear sir or madam. Choose one struggle. Just use dear sir or just say dear madam, not dear sir or madam. Then reapplication. This is our reason for writing. Capital R, small e. Then we underline our reason. If it is written in small letters, if it is written in capital letters, we don't have to underline it. Then you can see, still we have used indented paragraphs. I was talking to you about indented paragraphs. They have you leave some space at the margin before you start writing. So here we use yours faithfully, comma, you sign, let's say if your signature is this, then you write your name in capital letters. Now, in a friendly letter, this person would have started with Perus Nabili because it is a friendly letter and their name would have been written in small letters. But since it is a formal letter, this person started with Nabili. Perus Nabili is their surname, whereas Perus is their Christian name. So with a formal letter, as you can see, we have started with our surname, then we end with our Christian name, and then we have a signature before the name. Now, why do we sign before? The signature is supposed to come first because the name is explaining the signature. Do not write the signature last. You start with a signature, then you end with the name in capital letters. Whereas in our informal letter, we start with the first name, and then we can have our surname, but the surname is optional and it should be written in small letters. And in a formal letter, an informal letter, you don't necessarily have to sign. You don't have to sign. Then someone is asking if it is a must to have 4 paragraphs. No, it is not a must. You can have 3, you can have 4, you can have 5, you can have 6. That is what it is up to you. So at the end of the day, what matters is you having knowledge of what you are writing about or the content, but do not have 2 paragraphs, at least 3 or 4 or 5. The maximum you can have is 6. So a letter, if an informal letter can be written on just 1 page, a formal letter can go as far as the next page, but 2 paragraphs is very small. It means you have written very little. If we don't have any questions, I can now share the other formats. The other formats, we have different functional writing aspects. So I am going to share, maybe, let me start with let me share this document. I have samples, but let me first share this. So these are reports. Let me look at reports. We have different types of reports. We have the comprehensive report. We have different types of reports. Yes, you are supposed to punctuate your reason, which you are calling the reference. You punctuate with a colon. You punctuate with a colon. It should be capital R, small e. So now we have a report. We have different types of reports. Now, our first report is what we call the comprehensive report. We have the comprehensive report. We have different types of reports. Let me write somewhere here. We have the comprehensive report. We have the incidental. incidental reports, and then we have what we call the survey report. Now, your understanding of the question is what guides you on what kind of report you have to write. A comprehensive report is giving details, but of different, you're looking at different categories of things that you have to report about. For example, we have a question here. It is saying, you are the prefect in charge of the school dormitories. The head teacher has asked you to submit a report to the activity on the activity of general cleaning in the dormitories. Now, what we mean when we say a comprehensive report, this is what we mean when we say comprehensive report. Now, our comprehensive report is asking you to talk about different aspects. So you're going to talk about the general behavior of the students. You're going to talk about the cleanliness. You're going to talk about students' health. You're going to talk about academics, meals, and any other things. Generally, how these things have been incorporated in the general cleaning of the dormitories. Does it affect academics of the children? Is it important for students' health? So you talk about different sections, and these are things you come up with on your own. The examiner is going to tell you which things to include in your report. However, sometimes some questions might be specific and tell you include this, 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 and this. So you give it different subtitles. The address must, someone is asking if the address must be written in capital letters or small letters. Let us first focus on the report. We are taking us back to letter writing, but the most important thing is that letter writing, the address must be written in small letters. I'll go back there when I get, I'll show you something else when I get there. So here we have different areas that you're going to report about. Now, this is a comprehensive report. If you are told to report about an activity that took place, you have different things that you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about cleanliness, student health, and all that. So you have to be creative when you're looking at the comprehensive report. And this is how it looks like. A report, this thing will be able to school. So when you look at our report, it starts with a title. The title is very important. Starting with the title, then let me first erase this. Our report starts with a title. Now, when you look at our title, it is mentioning what, it is mentioning to who the report is being written, and it is mentioning the topic, about what. So it answers three questions: what, to who, and about what. So the first thing that we write about is the introduction. Remember, we do not skip lines. This introduction is written. Let me share a sample of this report. Let me share a sample of this exact report, the comprehensive report. This is a survey report. Let's go back to our document. So this report, when we are writing, one thing that I need you to know is the introduction is a subtitle of its own. We shall look at that in the sample of the survey report. This is an introduction. You underline this. You underline this as a subtitle as well. So under your introduction, you paragraph the content here. Then also you paragraph the content here. You can have 1 or 2 paragraphs under each subtitle. You can also have a paragraph, these paragraphs here. So under the different subtitles, you must paragraph your work, but the subtitles must be underlined and they must be written in small letters. Then something else that I need us to know is apart from the comprehensive report, we have what we call a survey report. a survey report. In this report, it is clear that you have made research. It is clear that you have made research. So that question will be asking, let's look at this sample question that we have here. This sample question. A report. This question is asking us to write a report to This question is saying, you are the school matron at Naria Secondary School. There has been a fire outbreak in the girls' dormitory. You have been asked to investigate it. Write your report. So the fact that we have this word is very important. Investigate. You have been asked to investigate. That means you are going to take your time, look for all kinds of information. That means you are doing a survey. That is what we call a survey report. Now, a survey report has a different format from the previous comprehensive report that we have looked at. So now I'm going to share with you a sample of a survey report. I have the survey report here. So our sample of the survey report is here. So we have our survey report here. This survey report is a report. The question is, imagine you are the prefect in the the question is saying, imagine you are the prefect in charge of discipline, and you were among those who went for a geography trip where members misbehaved. Having carried out thorough investigations, write a report to the head teacher. So this report also has the keyword investigation. So you have investigated. Now, under investigation, when you investigate, first of all, our title is there. It is answering the questions what, to whom you're writing the report, and about what. So our title is a report on the geography field trip by the disciplinary prefect to the head teacher as on 15th March 2019. So you're answering the question what? A report. About what? A geography trip. Written by who? The disciplinary prefect. To who? To the head teacher. Our title must answer all those questions. Then we have a background. We have things that you're going to refer to. We have the steps taken, which is what we look at as procedure. And then we have findings. So I'm going to read through this report very fast, then I can take you back to our format so that you can look at the exact things that must be in our report. So this is the introduction. I would like you to ignore this. Ignore this subtitle. So this is supposed to be introduction, and all this must be written under the introduction. Then this one is the proceedings or the steps taken. Then the findings. Then you share the challenges. Then you share the conclusion. And then after the conclusion, the recommendations come last. So a survey report, you have made research. You introduce, tell us why you're doing in the introduction, you tell us why you're doing this survey, why you carried out these investigations, what prompted you to do all this. Then in the second part, which is the procedure, you tell us how you made the investigations. This person is telling us meetings were held, spies were deployed, interviewing of the suspects was carried out. Then under findings, you mentioned that students listed the names of the students who misbehaved. It was also found out that the newcomers were the cause of the chaos in the hotel. And then deployed spies found out that the suspects were guilty of the cases accused of them. Those are your findings. That is the information you have found out. Those are the conclusive remarks. Then you have the challenges. Most of the students were reluctant to attend the scheduled meetings. Some of the students feared to list names. Now, the challenges that you list in this particular report are not challenges that you faced at that place where people misbehaved. No. In the comprehensive report, you can write the challenges of that particular activity that was taking place. But in the survey report, you write challenges that you encountered when you are carrying out the investigation. Then you conclude, then you write the recommendations. And the recommendations, you must be telling us how you wish some of these problems can be solved. The problems that, or whatever caused this misbehavior of students out there, how can it be solved? For example, this person says students should be briefed before going for any trip. Spies should be serious with their duties. Now, this is you giving recommendations to help solve the problem. A report cannot be written where there is no problem. There is always a problem. Therefore, there must be some challenges to talk about, and there must be some recommendations to help solve that problem. Then, at the end, when we are signing off the report, unlike the letters where we sign off on the right because our address is on the right, in a report, we do not have an address. So what does that mean? We sign off on the left. So we say compiled by, you write your name in small letters as your signature, or you can actually just sign and then write your name in capital letters, and then your designation. Who are you? You are writing as the disciplinary prefect, so you write it there as well. So that is the second type of report, the survey report. Then we have what we call an incidental report. So before we go to that incidental report, I want you to look at this this format. So we must, our format should have the introduction, the procedure, the findings, a conclusion, and then recommendations, and then you sign off. Report compiled by, then you put a signature, name in capital letters, then what we called the designation, which means what role you are in. Now, in this case, it was the disciplinary prefect. That is what we mean by designation. Then we have what we call a simple report. Now, I'm taking you through the formats. Those are the key things that are going to give you marks for format. The content depends on the question, and you must be exhaustive. You must be creative. You must be able to write everything that you think will be important to aid you to be able to get marks. Then we have what we call the incidental report. An incidental report is you are reporting about something that was not planned. It was not planned, it was accidental. That report is written in paragraph form. It doesn't have subtitles. So you just write like as if you are writing a statement. Let me see if you can. Kindly tell us how the conclusion is drawn. So you draw a conclusion depending on your findings, what you found out. So for you, decide, you are like you are giving like a verdict. For example, when you look at this report, this doesn't give me what I want. Let me first show you the other conclusion. For example, in this survey report, you draw a conclusion depending on your findings as a person, what you have found out when you were doing this survey. So when you look at this, our conclusion, this person is saying, in conclusion, this behavior is on an increase during external school programs and should be eliminated with immediate effect. So you give your verdict. What do you think? What has this survey showed you? What has your investigation showed you? Or what has your observation showed you? My observation has showed me that misbehavior is on an increase during external school programs and should be eliminated with immediate effect. It is more like you giving your personal opinion. It is more like giving your personal opinion and mentioning exactly what you want to be understood by the person that is reading your report. So I'm now sharing an incidental report. An incidental report is written when whatever you are reporting about was not planned. For example, a fire, for example, a strike, for example, an accident. Maybe you are a witness of a fight, you are a witness of a fire or an accident, and you have been told to write your report as a witness. It is also has the same format as a police statement. So in this case, you just paragraph your work. It's more like telling a story, but it should be a paragraphed story. The title, same way, we write the different titles of the different reports. One, a report answering the question, what? I'm writing a report. About what? About an alleged cheating during the football match by Hodgan Rubai to the chief coach. So you are writing to the chief coach. So there are three key questions that must be answered by the title. What? A report. About what? And to who you are writing the report. Those three questions must be answered by the title, that when someone reads the title, they know exactly what to expect. So the different paragraphs talk about different things. So our first paragraph is more like an introduction, telling us who you are, why you are the one giving this report, and all that. Then the second paragraph is to talk about the incident. Where did it take place? Who are the people involved, and all that. Then the third paragraph, let me write the different paragraphs that are very important. The different paragraphs that are very important. Paragraph 1. I'm going to write here, then I'll rub off. I'll clean it off. Paragraph 1, after the title, it is the introduction. You introduce yourself and also introduce to us what you are going to write about, exactly why you are the one reporting. Then the second paragraph is you telling us about the incident. What was it? Was it a fight? Was it a fire? Was it a strike? So if a fight took place in Senior 3 West between Calvin and maybe Paul, and both of them are students of the same class, or maybe you can be specific and tell us one of them sleeps in this dormitory, another sleeps in that dormitory, generally telling us about the incident. What picture do you want to paint of the incident? Who was involved? What was the incident? When did it take place? So there you mentioned the date, you mentioned the time, and where it took place, that is the place. Then paragraph 3 tells us mainly how it happened. How it happened. Then this can also take on the causes, how it started and all that. The causes of that particular incident. What do you think as a witness? Then number 4, paragraph 4 can tell us the effects. The effects of that incident. What effects did it have? Did one of them lose a tooth? Did one of them fall down? Did one of them break an arm? Were the tables broken? What effect did that incident have? If it was a fire, did the dormitory perish? Did students lose property? Is there anyone that lost their life? And maybe another important thing is that we expect you to have a bit of statistics. Maybe 2 students passed on, or maybe if it is a fight, it is noted that maybe we have about 3 fights a week in school. So in your conclusion, that is when you can go ahead and tell us what you think can be done about these fights. Then finally, the second last paragraph is of a conclusion. And then the last paragraph 6 is the recommendations. Now these ones can also be written in one paragraph. So this can also be written in the last paragraph. So the most important thing is you can see that in reports, we have introduction, we have conclusion and recommendations. Those are the key things. So what am I trying to say? Pay attention to the formats that you have been taught. Don't leave out anything. Don't leave out anything in the formats. Pay attention to the content. The content that you're going to give can only be decided by the question. The question will tell you the expectations of the examiner, and then don't miss out anything that has been asked. Make sure you give the details. Then the language, spellings are important. Conclusions are, punctuation is very important. Then the tense, pay attention to the tense that is expected of you, and make sure that your sentences are grammatically correct. Now, there are so many aspects and we cannot look at all of them. But the most important thing is format, content, language. Always remember that these marks, you must scoop all the marks. And most importantly, use very simple language. Use very simple language. Don't use bombastic words, because at the end of the day, they don't earn you any marks in functional writing. A language of communication does not use difficult words. So I will take on about 3 questions or 4, and then we can close. Any questions? Someone is asking.
Teacher, there is Mary Assumpta who has a question. Mary, please go ahead and ask.
Okay.
Okay, mine is like, if you want to conclude, is it a must that you should write the recommendation last, or you can write conclusion last?
No, the recommendations come last after you have drawn your conclusion. Your conclusion is more like your observation or what you have concluded about the incident before you give the recommendations. So the recommendations must come last. Someone is asking, do we write a reference in the survey report? No, we don't have a reference because it is not a letter. It is a report. So we have different subtitles. So that is introduction, you underline the subtitle, introduce, then procedure. How did you find out? How did you make the investigation? You paragraph your points. Next, findings. What did you find out? Then lastly, you go to conclusion and then recommendations. We had some, a duty report is a comprehensive report, and I have already explained what a comprehensive report is. Duty report is a comprehensive report. So you're going to report about meals, you're going to report about discipline, you're going to report about students' health, you're going to report about different areas that are important in school, and maybe punctuality, all those kinds of things. And you're going to give each of them a subtitle and then write different points in different paragraphs. Any other questions? Yes. We have one hand up. Dr. Queen.
Yes, Madam, in the survey report, do we write the terms of reference as a subheading, or we put it under the introduction?
Please put it under the introduction.
Okay.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, please.
There are some people who call the duty report, comprehensive report, a general report. So it should not confuse the learners that it becomes a different one when they say general report or a duty report or a comprehensive report. It is one and the same.
Yes, thank you very much. Comprehensive report, general report is one and the same, because you're reporting about the different areas of focus in a particular report. So general report, same as comprehensive report, and that's the category under which the duty report lies. Any other questions? Yes, Mary Assumpta.
And may you please say something about resignation letters?
Resignation letters are formal letters. I'm not going to give the details, we are time bad, but the most important thing is that it is a formal letter. So it must carry the format of a formal letter. Mark Onyango had a question. Yes, Mark. Mark, your hand is up. Unmute and ask your question.
I said, are you getting me?
Yes.
I said, should we use a small letter in writing heading?
No. If you're writing the title or what we call the heading, it must be written in capital letters. Use capital letters. When you use small letters, there are some details of small letters that you will not be able to understand. Better you use capital letters. Okay, I think that is all for now. Thank you very much. We shall, in case we have a chance, we shall be sharing that document to help you understand the formats. The last question may be, someone is asking, a speech. No, we don't sign the speech. We don't sign a speech. Kasese Muslim School, that's the last question I'm taking from Kasese Muslim School.
Thank you very much, Madam. My question is all about a speech. I've liked that I use this chance to know about this kind of speech. If the speech, like you are a modulator on the function, and then you are asked to raise or to invite the HM of the host school to invite the guest of honor, how can you start that speech?
It is a speech, therefore it must carry the format of a speech. Therefore, for example, we have, it must have the title, it must have protocol observed, you must observe protocol, you must introduce yourself, then you must go ahead and tell us, introduce what you're going to do. You're going to invite the person, the teacher. So first of all, you will talk about head teacher. Give us the details that we need to know about the head teacher. And then last, you tell the head, you go ahead and give the head teacher the role that you have been asked to give. For example, observe protocol, introduce yourself, then go ahead and talk about the head teacher, tell us their name, tell us the school in which they are working, go ahead and tell us the good things that we need to know about the head teacher. Do they have any other titles that we might not know about? And then after that, allow the head teacher to come and introduce the guest speaker. Now, it is the role of the head teacher to give the details about the guest speaker that she's going to invite. For you, you don't have a right to talk about the head teacher. I mean the guest speaker. So that speech is usually very short. It is usually very short. It's about 4 paragraphs. The first paragraph, protocol. Second paragraph, introduce yourself. Next paragraph, talk about the head teacher. The last paragraph, invite the head teacher to do what they have to do. So that is it for today. Thank you very much. You have been a wonderful audience. Until next time, have a good evening. Teacher Stephen, thank you very much for the honor. And I hope to be hearing from you soon. I share with Teacher Stephen the document. Maybe he can share with you so that you can discuss with your teachers. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you so much, Teacher Ita, for the wonderful presentation. And thank you so much for sharing with us. We want to thank everyone. And briefly, I'm going to invite Teacher Debbie to briefly take us through paper 2 briefly, and then we shall pause. So suppose we are going to ask you to add us more 15 minutes such that we summarize this session. Yes, Teacher Ita, kindly share with the members in the chat your number they would like to conduct you for further reference. Teacher Debbie.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kaziba. I am going to be the briefest I can be if the word exists. And I'm also going to limit the sharing. So I'm going to request the learners to pay attention and just note down anything that you feel you haven't understood or a question as you progress in the chat. Now,
Teacher Debbie, can I share what I have?
Yes, the summary will be helpful, but I'm first giving a structure of the entire paper, which I may not share.
Perfect.
So the summary can also be displayed. They can look at it in the meantime. So unlike paper 1, where we do 2 questions in section 1 and then in section 2, in paper 2, we do each and every question we find in that paper. So the moment you leave a question unattempted, it means you lost a mark already. And the things that we basically should note about paper 2 are: 1, it has passages that we are supposed to read and understand. The first passage will have a question on summary writing. The second will be a longer essay compared to the one that comes after. So it requires your reading and comprehension. The third one is shorter, and usually it's called the objective kind of question. And then the last section is for grammar. Now, number 1, much as all questions are very important, but I must advise that please ensure that you score marks for number 1. It is summary writing. It carries 20 marks. Now, we are going to break down the summary writing, but as I have said, there are passages which require your reading and understanding. Now, for you to learn or master the art of reading and understanding passages, you should be able to practice. Daily practice is a must if you're going to become a better reader, if you're going to read faster, if you're going to learn to comprehend what these passages carry, okay? So when you get to number 1, always read the passage before you get to the question. Then after you have read the question, please go back and reread the passage. So Mr. Kaziba, I think we should display the summary. Because we are limited in time, we are going to be a bit fast, so bear with me. But like I've said, just keep posting anything that you want to ask about in the chat. I'll be following the chat closely, so please feel free. So I am going to dwell more on this summary writing. Let's first go on the first slide, Mr. Kaziba. Because we have said it carries 20 marks, please do not dare lose out on the 20 marks. We are supposed to write the rough copy, whether you feel it is important or useless. Why? Because in your fair copy, I don't expect any crossings. I don't expect you to exceed the number of words given. And you can only have a perfect fair copy if you have tried out in the rough copy. So as you read and try to look for the points, that is after reading your question, try to figure out which points fit. Start by picking out those points and writing them in the rough copy. No one is going to penalize you for overcrossing in the rough copy, okay? It's fine to make the paper dirty as long as you know you are perfecting your work for the fair copy. So start by reading as you pick out the points because you do not have a lot of time, okay? And remember, we have said any question that you do not answer or attempt means a loss of marks or a mark. You do not want to lose marks over not answering. So if you have understood the question, you are now embarking on answering, write down all the points that you feel are befitting in the rough copy. Someone has already asked a question. What if I write a rough copy and I get caught up by time before I finish copying to the fair copy? Am I marked? My dear, much as I'm encouraging and emphasizing that the rough copy should be there, it is not the rough copy that gives you the marks, okay? Like we are saying, the rough copy is meant to guide you so that you perfect your work. So do not let time pass by when you're only concentrating on the rough copy. Make sure at the end of the day, you have both the rough copy and the fair copy, because you will not attain the marks you'll get from the rough copy, which you'd have attained in a fair copy. Yes, teacher, please come in.
So maybe the most important thing, I saw that question, someone asking if they will be marked if they are caught up by time and they don't answer, they don't write that fair copy. I would like to advise that as you attempt the paper to attempt it in its order. The order in which it has been, it makes more sense. Start with the summary, give it your best, about 40 or 30 minutes, and then you can now attempt the other questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, teacher. That way, there is no way you can be caught on the rough copy and not write the fair copy. I think there is another question in that line. Are you supposed to cross your rough copy afterwards? Yes, teacher, your hand is up.
No, sorry, I forgot to put it down.
But you could answer it, it's fine.
Oh, okay. Please do not cross your rough copy. Do not cross the rough copy. It is not you to decide whether it is not necessary or not. The most important thing is that it is labeled rough copy. Do not cross it.
And do not write in pencil.
Yes.
Some students go ahead and think because it is rough, it is therefore useless, and they choose to pick a pencil and write the rough copy in. That shows unseriousness. So write everything in ink. Do not leave just the rough copy because you have written it, so the fair copy is not necessary. Write the fair copy as well. Now, where do we get our title from? We always derive the title from the question, okay? And make sure you copy the question as it is. Do not even change a preposition or an adjective or leave out an article, okay? For example, if the question says, in not more than 100 words, summarize the causes of poverty, or summarize the causes of diseases amongst children. That is exactly how you're going to phrase your question. A summary on the causes of diseases amongst children. So you really take the question word for word, okay? Madam, can I write my rough copy in form of numbering instead of one paragraph? The challenge with you writing your work in form of numbering, you're going to have to transfer. You're going to have to transfer these numbers into the fair copy. That is how you end up crossing, because you have not, for example, put those words that are the conjunctions. You have not been able to join your sentences properly. So at the end of that day, when you go to the fair copy, you're crossing out. And once you have untidy work in the fair copy, loss of marks, okay? I hope I've answered you. So the title is from the question. The teacher has been telling us about indented paragraphs in paper 1. It does not change in summary writing. Indented means you start space away from the margin. Now, remember that unlike the compositions we write, a summary has only one paragraph, unless when two questions have been stated differently. But if I say give the causes and the effects Okay, give the causes and effects of landslides in Uganda. My dear, do not attempt to give a paragraph on the causes and a paragraph on the effects. That is still in one paragraph. All you'll need to show is that I am now talking about causes, but these are now the effects. You don't have to change the paragraph. In other words, I expect only one space at the beginning, at the margin. Okay. Mr. Kaziba, your screen has disappeared. Now, what if the question is in form of A and B? Yes, I have been very clear, and such questions are quite uncommon, okay? If they are A and B, they'll also provide 2 spaces for rough copies and 2 spaces for fair copies. It is evident, okay? They will not confuse you to the level of just stating, 2 questions, and yet they're providing for only a single answer. So please note that it is very uncommon, but read and understand the question. It is usually very prominent. So just a paragraph. Do not break your sentences to the point of a person writes, one of the causes of landslides in Uganda is the change in weather, full stop. You go to the next line. No, 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 no. The moment you start doing those, you know that your summary is disjointed, like we have learned in the paper 1 section. So they'll mark only up to where they feel your sentence ended before you started another paragraph. The use of conjunctions, there is conjunction and, okay? Let me first share my screen. Let me first share my screen so that we proceed. When do we write 2 paragraphs in summary writing? We write 2 paragraphs in summary writing when 2 questions have been given separately. Mr. Dungu. I don't know whether it is visible. Can anyone hear me? Students, are you able to hear me, please? Yes? Put up your hand if you can hear me at least, because I'm not getting anyone. Okay, wonderful, if you can hear me. Okay, had I shared the screen? Because I had to check the screen. So let us just proceed. I am going to have to
Teacher Deborah, whom do we make co-host?
The previous teacher.
She had 7-1. I don't see her.
Okay, I think she has gone off. Yes, there is teacher Aita.
Okay, I've made her co-host.
Yes, I was trying to share a screen, but didn't get any response. Let me try again and see if they can see the screen.
Let me give you co-host rights, Teacher Deborah.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Dungu. So students, can you see the copy now? Yes? Teacher Aita, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we were still on page 1. We're still on page 1. And I was telling the learners that you need not break your sentences. So the next thing we are talking about is the subject sentence. When we talk about the subject sentence, this is the introductory sentence that introduces us to your work. For example, if a person is asking, I am going to continue with the same example I've been using for the causes of landslides. I expect you in your first statement to have something to say about the causes. For example, a person could start with the causes of landslides and give as they're given without stating. Now we are going to get in details how we have to list them or how to give these points without stating them as per the example that we'll have. In case your summary has gone past the word limit, will your marks be reduced? Yes, those words are counted to the dot. So once you are given a word limit, please follow the word limit. It means you have included some useless points. You have included some irrelevant words. Okay, so always stick to the word limit. And at the end of this slide, we see that word limit has to be in mind, okay? The use of correct grammar, we are going to elaborate all these using the example that we have. Then neatness, that is especially in the fair copy, like we have said. We don't expect you to cross in the fair copy because all the crossing would have been done in the rough copy. Then you being precise and concise, this is why you end up having more words than the words they would have asked for, because you have included some which are not called for. You've ever, for example, you've over elaborated or you have over explained yourself and even repeated so many examples which would not have been necessary, okay? So we are going on to slide 2, which has the examples. Now, slide 2 is going to help us elaborate better. Okay, so there we have it. This question requires us to give factors influencing the young women to become slim and its effects on society. Now you could be there And you know why women want to slim or why want to become small. Please do not introduce what you know in the summary that you're writing. What we require of you is to use what has been given in the passage. And in this particular passage, they are telling us that the general public perception that a woman is attractive and successful when she's slim, the fashion magazines and television commercials influence young women to become slim. What do we call a topic sentence? A topic sentence is, do you see the word slim in the first sentence? So it has been captured somewhere. It is supposed to answer the question directly, all right? Now the person continues to give the reasons. I want us to look out for the following. Do you see anywhere where the sentence has more than two conjunctions and? The conjunction and? Mind you, this is a rough copy. So we have not read the question, but we want to know how many words this person or the question required. So the person has given their word limit and they have stated it at the end of their summary, their 131 words. Okay, we are going to go on to the fair copy. I don't want us to end midway. Okay, so the last one says, okay, my screen is failing me. Teacher Aita, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So the factors influencing the young women to become slim and its effects on society. In the first case, there were 131 words, but in this case, we are seeing 106 words. So if the question required this person to give 110 words, 110 words, okay, it means this person is short by 4 words, but that is not a problem. So if they have said not more than 110 words, this person is very safe because they have not exceeded. Much as they have left out 4 words, if they have captured all the points correctly, it is not a problem and they stand to score all the 20 marks. They have the title, they have an indented paragraph. In their first sentence, they capture why women or factors influencing the young women to become slim. Then they have said, and its effects. Maybe I'm going to read through this and then someone will tell me where the effects start from, okay? So young women desire to be slim because of the general public perception that a slim woman is attractive and successful. Fashion and women magazines, television commercials, cinemas, and popular newspapers encourage the belief that a successful woman should be slim. The expanding weight loss industry does so too. As a result, the eating behavior of adolescent women leads to weight fluctuations. They're induced to dieting, which dietary restrictions often alternate with binge eating or bulimia nervosa. Some induce vomiting or use laxatives, leading to serious illness. Others starve themselves or eat minimal amounts of food, resulting in emaciation and loss of menstrual periods. They develop anorexia nervosa. Who has where the effects begin? Someone can put up their hand. Who has seen where the effects begin? Anyone? Are you lost? Please put up your hand if you, okay. Mary, you can unmute.
It started from the words as a result.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Yes? Thank you very much. Now, you can see covering both thing and so you do not need to have paragraph, but first someone is asking why the title is underlined, yet it is in capital letters. Thank you very much. Now, you are not penalized for underlining the title when it is in capital letters, but the underlining is also meant to remind you that in case your title is not in capital letters, or if you have used capitalization of the initial words that are important, then you are supposed to underline. But when you underline capital letters, it is very okay, okay? No one will penalize you. Mary, I hope that answers your, or addresses your concern as well. Now, for summary, Teacher Aita, could we just go back to the first slide? If you grasp how to attempt the summary, you are good to go. Read the passage, understand what it requires before you can go into attempting the question. Madam, am I supposed to put a full stop at the end of the title? Yes, because in English language, every complete statement is reflected by the use of that punctuation mark. What if you did not underline? What if you did not underline the capitals? Well, you can be given a mark, but do not be lazy to the point that where you're supposed to underline, you forget to underline. Please just do everything to perfection so that you do not miss a mark at any one point. Now, if you have grasped what is required in attempting a summary question, you are good to go with any summary that will come your way, okay? Summary that comes your way, you can ably attempt it. What if I don't put a full stop? There are some things that we keep doing in English language that make us lose marks. Things as simple as leaving out punctuation marks. Like I have already said or noted, do not be lazy. Please do everything as you are supposed to do it. Where there is supposed to be a comma, don't say, they'll ignore if I have not put it. No, you lose a mark. Now I want to wind this up in 3 minutes. Teacher Aita, are you able to share the first slide where we started? Please just, very good, thank you. Just note that you're supposed to have a rough copy. You're supposed to have a title, well underlined, in capital letters, indented paragraph, a sentence that introduces your work, correct grammar. You know that we mark grammar. Spellings and punctuation, we mark those things. So you're supposed to make sure they are correct, okay? We have said precise and concise. Do not, extract lengthy examples and figures, because those ones are going to impact your word limits. And at the end of the day, you'll have many words. And you do not want the many words because you're supposed to limit your words. Write the number of words you have used under. Do not lie under any circumstance. Those words are counted, okay? Now, when you lie, I don't know, everyone knows that lying is bad. So when you penalize, please do not blame anyone. And we have said the fair copy has to be very neat. So that is it for the summary writing, and it is always number 1. The next 2 numbers are passages, which passages require reading and understanding. 1 will state questions that are supposed to be answered in full. Okay, still base your answers on the passage, not what you know. Okay, then passage 3 or part B will be a multiple choice kind of question where you're supposed to put a ring on the correct answer. Be very careful not to just put a ring, okay? So you'll have to read and understand the passage, because some of these answers are really, related, or they look similar, but they're never the same. So you have to just read and understand. And the last section has only the grammar aspects. So you may have rewrite questions, and the trick with rewrite questions is maintaining the meaning as given in the question, okay? So you give the meaning, or rather the answer with the same meaning as the question. You do not change the meaning, okay? Then punctuating correctly. Then your knowledge of the tenses, the parts of speech comes out in this section, okay? Then you'll have objective questions still, where they may give you, for example, questions with blanks, and then alternative answers where you're supposed to choose from. Still, your knowledge of parts of speech, tenses, phrasal verbs, and all those things that you're learning in your paper 2 will apply. So please pay attention as you go through the rules of grammar so that you do not go wrong. Thank you very much. I don't want to take up much more of your time, apart from if there is a question that we cannot go without attempting. We are calling it an evening. Any question? Yes, please, Mary.
Okay, madam, my question is,
Yes,
for example, which words do you use for separating the points while writing summary?
Okay, connecting adverbials or connectors. And some of these are conjunctions like and, but. Then if you're changing, there is however, words like in addition to, okay? And try not to use the same words. Yes.
Okay, madam, what if you write your point and then you put a full stop, you write another one, you put a full stop instead of using conjunctions? Is it not marked? Oh, it's marked.
It is, it's going to be, it will not flow, okay? You'll have a paragraph with listed sentences, so it will not make sense, okay? So you'll have to join these sentences so that it flows, because you are summarizing or giving a short form of what you'd have been given in the question, okay? So they have not listed for you points to summarize. It is a story or it's a passage. It means you also have to bring it out in a passage form. Does that make sense to you? How many commas are we supposed to use in a sentence? There should be 2 commas. Should be 2 commas, a maximum of 2 conjunctions, so that you don't have a very lengthy sentence. We'll call that rambling. where your sentence is of 5 lines because you want to limit the number of words. It is wrong, okay? So that was to answer Kaka. Then must I put the number of words? Always put the number of words, okay? It saves you a whole lot because it also guides you, the one writing the summary. So if you see yourself having 150 words at the end of a rough copy, you know that I have to cut out 30 words in case the summary requires 120 words, okay? So Kaka, I hope I've answered you too. There is no other question. Thank you very much, students, for being active and for being with us and learning. Thank you, teacher Aita. Would you like to say something?
Thank you so much, Teacher Debbie, for the wonderful presentation, and Teacher Ita for taking us through. We are really very grateful for taking us through paper 1 and paper 2. I know there is a lot we still have to learn, but I know at least what you have given us will be able to take us through the mock examinations for those schools that have not yet started their mocks. But for the schools that have started, I think you have got to see the key things that maybe you might have missed, but now I know in the next papers you have, you'll be in position to make the collections. Teacher Debbie has put her number. I know there are schools that may want to reach to her for consultation for different things. Kindly copy the number. Feel free to reach to her such that she can be in position to offer help where need is. I want then also to thank all the people who have been on this call, all the teachers, the students from the different schools. Thank you so much. I want to just remind you that tomorrow, the teachers that are on the call, we shall have a session starting at 2 p.m. To 4. That session will be very crucial in our professional development. So please kindly, we shall use the same link. We are using this same link for tomorrow's session. So don't look for any other link. This is the same link we shall use. And our topic will be on problem solving framework in the teaching and learning. So please let us be there tomorrow such that we can be in position to learn together. It will be facilitated by Professor Padu from USA, and this is in line with the new curriculum, and we want everyone, and the direction we are taking is on how we shall be in position to handle problem-based learning and project-based learning. So the session is going to be there tomorrow. Then tomorrow we shall have biology, which will be facilitated by teacher Arthur Kugonza. So please, let's keep time for tomorrow because there is a lot that we need to learn in biology, meaning we need to handle paper 1, we need to handle paper 2, the practical. And so probably tomorrow, make sure that you take your meals, take a heavy lunch, such that you can be able to keep on up to the end of the session, because biology has been a big elephant, and at least tomorrow we must put that elephant down and make biology simple. Then on Friday, we shall have the ICT session. Those offering ICT, we shall share the support files and other items that we may need on Friday. So keep online such that you may have those materials, and also prepare your computer laboratories such that we can be in position to interact practically. But also we want to remind the teachers to help us take some photos. Now, like when we look at St. Mary's Assumpta, we are seeing the girls on their screens. So the teachers can kindly take for us some photos such that at least we can be in position to share with the rest. I want to invite Mr. Ronald Dungu to say something and finally close off this session. Mr. Ronald, you are most welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kaziba, and thank you all the teachers who have been in control of this session. Teacher Deborah, Teacher Rita, for the wonderful work you have done. The students usually do not revise English, and that creates a problem. So having a session like this, facilitated by our senior teachers, is a good one. And I know that the video will be available throughout, so you can use it over and over again in your schools so that you master the details that have been mentioned. But we will also have chance in future, probably, to bring back the teachers and they speak to you before you write your exams. So dear students and all the teachers, we thank you for your time, and please let us struggle to complete this week before our mocks. For those who are already in mocks and come to join in after their papers, we really, really appreciate the effort you are putting in. Most importantly, we are looking for the grades. As Minister of Education, we are happy that this is happening because we are learning out of this pilot so that we know what to do before you sit your exams, but also what to do with the rest of the learners as they change from the old curriculum to the new curriculum. I want to thank you all, and let us meet again tomorrow. Bye-bye. I now declare this session closed.